episodes on teaching literature. I'm your host, Nanette Cusi Montealegre. In the past episodes, you learned about methods, techniques, and strategies in teaching language. Surely, you still remember these lessons on teaching listening, speaking, reading, writing, and grammar. This time, we will focus our attention on the teaching of literature. This particular episode will engage you in the next hour in a discussion about the nature, the goals, and the practice of teaching literature. What does it mean to teach literature? What is the nature of teaching literature? Before we address these questions, let us pause for a brief station break. Don't switch channels. Welcome back. Let us prepare ourselves to answer the question, what is literature? Three authorities in literature will share their ideas with us. Dr. Izagani Cruz of De La Salle University, Dr. Venancio L. Mendiola of the Philippine Normal University, and Dr. Milagros Tanlaico of the University of Santo Tomas.
There are many definitions of literature, but perhaps what is common is that literature is one way to view reality.
Literature by classical definition is the best that has been thought of and felt and written about by writers throughout the ages. But I think the better definition of literature is to be able to transcend the boundaries when it is not time-bound. So what has been written ages could still be read and enjoyed now because of its contemporaneity. However, much of literature that is of oral tradition is neglected in the teaching of literature because these oral traditions, like our myths, riddles, proverbs, ethics, riddles, show our psychology as a people, and they are passed on from generation to generation by word of mouth.
Literature is the record, oral and written, of man's thoughts, man's experiences, man's values, in language that is expressed, in language that is beautiful, presented in a manner that is unforgettable. And literature is the record of life. It is the record of the human soul. It's the record of man.
Based on the definitions you've listened to, we can discuss what it means to teach literature and the nature of teaching literature. First, teaching literature involves specifically the teaching of different literary genres: fiction, drama, poetry, and essay. Second, the teaching of literature involves teaching literary skills, which extend beyond basic reading skills. The teaching of literature presupposes that students have acquired basic reading skills, like getting main ideas, noting supporting details, skimming, scanning, or making predictions. Having acquired basic reading skills, students can approach the reading and study of literature more effectively. Third, the teaching of literature involves the study of literary conventions, literary movements, literary terms, elements, devices, and techniques. Let's interview our literary authorities once again.
What are some literary conventions readers and teachers of literature need to know and understand?
they need to know how language is put together, because literature is made up of words primarily. It's made up of other things too, like events and philosophies, ideas, and things like that. But it is made up of words first and foremost. And so the devices that the teacher and the student must pay attention to are the devices that have to do with words, such as metaphors and similes and alliteration and things of that nature, rhyme and meter and things like that.
Ideally, the literature teacher should grasp the nuances of different literary movements from the time of the Greeks, which would be the classical age, up to post-modernism. In between, the literature teacher should also know the salient features of each literary movement, like what happened during the Middle Ages, during the time of Chaucer, during the time of Shakespeare, the Renaissance, then the neoclassical age, especially shown in French literature, Romantic age, then neo-romanticism, then came in realism as a reaction to romanticism, and naturalism as an offshoot of realism. Then what would be more ideal is for the teacher to guide the students on how to apply the tenets or concepts of these literary terms in specific literary texts.
To teach basic literature, a literature teacher must know naturally the distinctions between prose and poetry. All right. They must know what it means when we say that something is poetic or something is prosaic, or what is critical and uncritical, what is beautiful and what is not beautiful, what is attractive and what is not attractive, what is appealing and what is not appealing. We also go into the classifications, like of poetry. We have lyric poetry, we have narrative, and we have dramatic poetry, and also the spatial forms like the dramatic monologue. As for prose, well, we go usually into the distinctions again between fiction and non-fiction.
What else is involved in teaching literature? Teaching literature is also concerned with teaching students how to make literary interpretation and analysis.
How do you teach students literary interpretation and analysis?
It depends on how old the student is. When the student is young, by which I mean maybe all the way to high school graduate, all that you really want to do is to make the students understand what is happening in the story or in the poem. What is happening means literally who are there, who are the people involved, where is the thing happening, what are they saying, what kinds of comparisons or metaphors they are using. That's the literal level of the work. That's all you can expect from a student who is very young. But when you get to the college level, the student should already be looking at what the work means. Now, what does that mean? An author writes a work in order to say something. And this something is usually very significant for the survival of humanity. This meaning is often hidden by some figures of speech, some metaphorical language, some symbols, sometimes by words that are not usually used by regular people, and so on. The writers don't like to say things directly because many of the things they want to say cannot be said directly. So they start using very indirect means of expression. And the teacher must try and show the student how these means of expression are being used by the author.
Given the fact, however, that the literature teacher has the knowledge of different literary theories in his or her fingertips, then he can start making the students write their interpretations or analysis of certain poems, dramas, stories, that they have read by the following process. First, I would suggest that the literature teacher first make the students read on their own before he gives a formal lecture, do their own research, and then in the class they can have an open forum to crystallize the ideas they have read, so they could compare also their insights into the theories that they have read from different references. Second, the literature teacher can ask the students to make them read samples of literary criticisms themselves, because there's no better substitute for reading good critics from their own interpretations. They can probably get insights and add newer dimensions in the literary text they read. Then, third, I would make the students react to certain criticisms done by these critics, because the tendency of most students is to rely solely on the criticism of critics, when they should know that they themselves can be critics if they only follow certain standards set in the different literary theories by the critics themselves. Then fourth, I would make them write their own analysis. And one effective way of doing this is making them write journals, especially after reading novels or short stories. In writing journals, they do not just summarize the stories they read, but react to character motivation, find certain symbolism in the text, and look for figurative language, and react to the text as a whole. Then, all these processes should be done in an anxiety-less field classroom, because criticism is a very difficult process. That's why there's a saying that those who cannot write criticize, and those who criticize write. Finally, I would ask them to write their individual analysis of the texts that they have read, and ask them to compare these texts with their own classmates.
We have to determine the class we are going to teach. If we are dealing with first and second year, that is part of the general education program, then these people are not necessarily majoring in literature. And thus, the important thing there is to remember that we have to introduce them to language proficiency through the appeal of literature. Of course, when we deal with literature majors, then it is presumed that they know already the background. And so we zoom in on the specialization of what are the different types of literature by country, or by genre, or by authors.
What else does the teaching of literature entail? It entails, moreover, teaching students to acquire and develop sensitivity, self-awareness, and greater understanding of the world and other people. The teaching of literature should provide students skills, attitudes, and abilities which they can use to become readers for life. Still, part of our task in teaching literature is to help students acquire the means for entering the writer's imagined world, as in stories like How My Brother Leon Brought Home a Wife, The Wedding Dance, or Waywaya. To understand the universality of themes and ideas in plays like The Portrait of the Artist as a Filipino, The World is an Apple, or Romeo and Juliet. To realize the significant human experience recounted or reflected in novels like Sense and Sensibility, The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, or Without Seeing the Dawn. And to understand the human emotions and insights into life conveyed in poems like God Said, I Made a Man, like the Malave, or I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud. In all these, we teach literature to help our students internalize the relevance of the ideas, events, and emotions dealt with in the literary texts to their own life. Before I give you a summary of what we have discussed so far, let's pause for a station break. Welcome back. So far, we've said that teaching literature means A. Teaching different literary genres. B. Teaching literary skills that extend beyond basic reading skills. C. Teaching literary conventions, literary movements, literary terms, elements, devices, and techniques. D. Teaching students how to make literary interpretation and analysis. E. Teaching students to acquire and develop sensitivity, self-awareness, and greater understanding of the world and other people. F. Teaching students to enter the writer's imagined world, to understand the universality of themes and ideas, to realize the significant human experience, and to understand the human emotions and insights conveyed in the different literary texts. Having understood what literature is and the nature of teaching literature, let's turn our attention this time to the goals in teaching literature. Why do we teach literature? As teachers of literature, what are the goals we aspire for? Firstly, we teach literature to develop in our students what is called literary competence. Literary competence is defined as the ability to internalize the grammar of literature, which would permit a reader to convert linguistic sequences into literary structures and meanings. It includes the ability to see images in a literary text to mean more than what they are, to develop sensitivity to the language of literature, and to interpret the creative uses of that language in meaning-making. Let's observe a class and see what happens if students at least show some kind of literary competence. We said a while ago that there are two roads mentioned in the poem. What's the difference between these two roads? Yes? Yes, Anthony?
The first road, ma'am, is more often used than the other.
What makes you think so? Are there evidences to prove this point?
There are, ma'am.
Can you tell me what do those lines mean?
These lines mean that the speaker chose the road many people would not normally take.
Uh-huh. Can you relate yourself to the speaker's decision? Yes, Michael.
I think we can see these roads as the choices we make in our life.
Okay.
We make popular decisions because many people have chosen them or it will please other people. We can also make unpopular choices and take the risk in our life.
That's good, Michael. Any other opinion? Yes, Jesse.
Ma'am, in my case, I shall choose to travel the road which is less taken by persons.
Why do you say that?
I think that I'm not ready to take the road yet because I believe that I'm not ready to take risks.
I respect your opinion, Jesse. Wasn't that interesting? The students were able to perceive that the poem was not just about roads, but about making choices or decisions in life. We can very well say that the students may be on their way to developing literary competence. The next goal in teaching literature is the development of critical thinking among our students. Literature offers an opportunity to our students to perceive ideas, evaluate their worth, take a stand on issues raised in the literary text and weigh the truth and consequences of certain viewpoints they are exposed to. Let's observe a class where students are actively engaged in discussing the drama The World is an Apple by Alberto Florentino.
What did Mario intend to do then that he was out of work? Yes? Yes, Leo?
Ma'am, I think Mario would go back to his old ways, taking up a life of crime again. He was seen towards the end of the play when he went with Pablo.
Good answer. What about Mario's decision? What can you say about his decision? Was it the correct solution to the problem? Anybody? Yes, Angelo?
It was not the solution, ma'am, but at that moment, he thought that it was the only solution.
What do you think Mario could have done other things besides that solution to the problem which he thought was the correct solution? Anybody? Okay, Christian, what do you think?
For one, ma'am, he could have taken up jobs like selling newspapers or polishing shoes. Since he could not get employment, he could have been his own boss.
That's a good answer, Christian. Any other ideas? Okay, let's hear it from RJ.
Mario could have sold fish balls or barbecues as a sidewalk vendor.
Thank you. What about the others? Okay, Benedict.
Ma'am, it is not true that he had no other solution to the problem. He merely wanted easy money from stealing, snatching, or pickpocketing. He should have been more resourceful.
Thank you very much for your wonderful ideas.
You heard the students' ideas. Didn't they have very good ideas? That we can actually challenge them to think critically is enough reward for all our efforts in teaching literature. Let's go back to the questions asked by the teacher and try to classify them accordingly. What do you think did Mario intend to do then that he was out of work? What can you say about Mario's decision? Was that decision the solution to his problem? What questions were asked of the students? Were they high-level questions? Yes, they were all high-level questions. These questions call for speculations, conjectures, and intelligent guesses. Still, another goal for teaching literature is to make the reading and study of literature a delightful experience for our students. In short, we need to develop literary appreciation. If the reading experience is remembered as a delightful and enjoyable one, students will be encouraged to read more and will be inspired to look forward to more literary encounters in class. How then can we make our students develop literary appreciation? The answer could be in the techniques and strategies we choose in presenting and teaching literature to our students. But before we discuss this, let's pause for another reminder. Welcome back. Let's go back to the question I raised earlier. How can we make our students develop literary appreciation? Let's observe a class where the teacher is guiding her students to literary appreciation. They are discussing the short story, My Father Goes to Court by Carlos Bulosan.
What you read is not the complete story yet. How would you like to put your own endings of the story? Would you like to do that? But you're going to do this through dramatization. Now go to your groups and talk about the versions of the ending of the story which you will talk about in your own groups. Go to your groups now.
So how are you blocking? I think so. You should be the researcher, right? Yeah. And then to here.
What are you talking about? Your script? Are we ready now to perform? Is group 1 ready? Okay, let's watch group 1 now. Let's see how they would show their own version of the ending of the story.
Oh no, this is really bad. How can I pay the damages imputed us to the court?
No, guys, I'm sure there's a way out of this without losing face.
Why don't we just contribute money to pay for it?
That's a great idea. That way, everybody will be able to help our neighbors.
If it's okay with all of you, then it's okay with me. Let's do it!
Thank you, group 1. Let's clap for the group 1 performance. Now, let's go to group 2. Are you ready? Now move. Let's see how you did your own version of the story's ending.
Children, we don't have any money to pay a rich neighbor.
Father, what shall we do? Father, are you going to jail?
No, your father's not going to jail. We're going to sell everything that we have.
Yes, I'll sell my toys too. Yes, and I will sell the shoes my mom gave me.
Thank you, my family.
Okay, thank you, group 2. Let's give a hand to group 2. And may we have group 3 now?
I'm very sorry, Your Honor. I have nothing to pay this rich old man who has everything in life.
That's what you get for being such a hard-headed fool.
You will not accomplish anything if you try to pick up a fight again, rich man. As for you, poor man, I have seen you behave all throughout the proceedings, and I must say that you have conducted yourself well. I want you to know that I admire people who defend their rights, even against all odds. This will not change my decision, however. You will still abide my orders as the law has given it to me. I will, however, volunteer to pay your debt, as I can very well see that you are unable to fulfill your obligations to this rich man. As for you, rich man, just see me for the check.
Sir, but Your Honor, he should be the one paying me.
Very well then, poor man, get the check from me and give it to this rich man.
Thank you so much, Your Honor.
We have just seen how the entire class worked to produce their own ending to the story. Now, let's watch how the teacher wraps up the whole discussion.
What group do you think gave the correct ending?
3.
1, 2, 3. Okay, let's settle the issue now. Would you like to hear the real ending of the story?
Yes.
Okay, listen to this. The poor man went to the farthest end of the room after collecting some coins from his neighbors. Then he put the coins in his hat and jingled them. Then he asked the rich man if he heard the jingling of the coins. The rich man said yes. Afterwards, the poor man said that he had been paid. The aroma of the food for the sound of the coins. So that's the real ending of the story. Okay. Now, what do you think of the story? How do you find the story? Anybody? Okay. Ruben.
The story is really very funny. The author is able to create laughter from beginning to end.
Okay, very good. What about the others? What can you say? Alan?
Ma'am, I find the story very entertaining, especially its characters.
Well said. And one more idea. Okay, Jesse.
Ma'am, for me the story seems humorous because it depicts that happiness can be obtained even without money or being rich.
Okay, very good. Now I know that you understood and appreciated the story.
The techniques we choose in teaching literature will more likely spell the difference for our students towards their development of literary appreciation. Let's look back and see what are the goals in teaching literature. They are A. Literary competence, B. Critical thinking, C. Literary appreciation. Before we turn our attention to a number of techniques or strategies we can use for teaching literature, let's pause for a few reminders. I'll be back shortly. Welcome back. You may ask, what are some techniques or strategies in teaching literature that we can use before reading a literary text? We can do any of the following. A. Listening to a song. B. Making graphic illustrations of the setting, characters, or scenes in the story. C. Making a photograph study. D. Sampling random lines or passages from the text. Let's see how a teacher does one of these in the classroom.
You like love stories, don't you? Okay, our text for today is one of those love stories that people who love literature probably know by heart. But before that, let me play a song for you, and afterwards, you tell me what the song says. Okay, listen to this.
A time for us someday there'll be, when kings are torn by courage born of a love that's free. A time when dreams along the night and flurries as we unveil the love we now must hide. A time for us at last to see a life worthwhile for you and me. And with our love through tears and thorns, we will endure as we pass slowly through every storm. A time for us someday there'll be a new world, a world of shining hope for you and me.
Okay, did you like the song? What does it say? What's the message of the song? Yes, Angelo.
Mom, it says something about love that's not realized.
Good. Any other idea? Okay, Leo.
Ma'am, I think it's a lover's promise to his loved one that their love will stay forever.
Good. Any more? Anthony.
Well, ma'am, the song is about a relationship that unfortunately never worked out. But the love is hopeful that they will be together someday.
Very good. Our text for today is all about those things that you said. It is about Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet.
What you just saw is one way to feed the text. In other words, to introduce the text and steer students' interest to read and study the literary selection. In this way, you make them look forward to reading and studying the text. Next, Let's turn our attention to techniques and strategies to present literary texts to our students. Here are some of them. A. Reading the text live by the teacher. B. Listening to a recording of the text. C. Presenting slides. D. Using transparency. E. Jigsaw reading. Join me in the classroom as the teacher does one of them with her students.
The poem that we will discuss today is different from the other poems that we have studied so far. First, the structure is different, and second, the reading of the poem must match to what it says. Okay, let me read it for you. And as I read it, you read along. Just listen first, and then I'll read it for you. Okay? Do you have copies, everybody? One more. The Conductor by Jacques Prévert. Let's go, let's go. Step on it. Let's go, let's go. Come on, get going. There's too many passengers. Hurry, hurry. Some are in line, some everywhere. Lots along the landing or in the holes of the womb of their mother. Let's go, let's go. Press the trigger. Everybody's got to live. So, kill some. Let's go, let's go. Come on, be serious. Move along. You know you can stay here too long. There's got to be room for everyone. A little trip, they told you. A little trip around the world. A little trip in the world. A little trip and you're off. Hurry, hurry. Be polite. Don't push. Okay. Did you like that? We're speaking in the poem.
Wasn't that interesting? The teacher reads the text live for her students. Surely a good oral interpretation of a poem will steer more interest for our students to read and understand a literary selection. Can you do oral interpretation well for your students? I'm sure you can. What about techniques or strategies after reading a literary text? Here are some of them. A. Producing mime or dance interpretation. B. Reciting the text or reading interpretatively. C. Doing a reader's theater. D. Responding to the text through journal writing. E. Adapting the text to another genre. Let's watch a classroom situation which plays up one of these techniques.
I know that you're fond of watching movies, aren't you? Of course. Okay, what movies? For example, what movies have you seen lately? Titanic. What else? Okay. Okay, now let's see how you can make use of your experience as a moviegoer to translate the selection we just read to film. Let me explain. You will make a script that would be used to film the scenes from the selection we read. You will imagine the scenes involving Dr. Michihiko Hachiya, the main character of the text. You will make a script, but without dialogues, just describing or imagining the scenes in the story or from the story itself. Okay, we call this activity screen adaptation. We will use a format for that. This is the format that you will use. Okay, and you will go into your groups to work on this. Will you please go to your groups now, and I will give the format to you so that you will be guided by it. Okay. Group 1. Group 2. You will have to make descriptions of each scene. Okay? Make descriptions. You will have to make descriptions of each scene. Only descriptions without dialogue about the text, just to describe the scenes. Do you have any problems there? Did you understand the thing? Okay, you'll have to make descriptions of each scene and no dialogues about. It's just how you picture the scenes of the story. Are you done? Good. Would you like to present your script? Group 1. Okay, let's listen to Group 1 now.
Opening scene. The camera shows a Japanese garden. It is early morning, the sun is warm and beautiful. Birds are chirping, the sky is clear. Dr. Hachiya is in the living room floor relaxing. He looks dead tired. Climax. Sound effects of a bomb is heard. A big explosion blanketed the surroundings. The screen becomes blank. Time elapses. End. Camera shows Dr. Hachiya wounded, bleeding. He looks around and sees many dead people. He looks for his wife. He feels pain all over. He realizes a nuclear bomb has exploded in the area. He breaks into tears.
Okay, well done, Group 1. Thank you very much.
What we have learned about in choosing techniques and strategies in teaching literature? I'll be back to summarize what we have taken up. Don't go away. We've said that in choosing techniques or strategies in teaching literature, we must A. Create a student-centered classroom. B. Allow for more student talk. C. Supplement the printed page. D. Emphasize the value of cooperative learning. What have we taken up in this episode? We have taken up the nature, the goals, and the practice of teaching literature. I hope you could apply them in your teaching. We have reached the end of this episode. The next episodes will give you ideas on the teaching of fiction, the teaching of drama, teaching poetry, teaching the essay, integrating literature with the teaching of other skills, and testing literature. I'm inviting you to join me again next time for more ideas on teaching literature. This is your host, Nanette Cusi Monte Alegre, saying goodbye and happy teaching. See you next time.